ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite you to come and sit down and enjoy our next presentation. I'm going to introduce not just one, two, but all three of our core competencies that SOLARWATT produces here in Germany. And I'd like to introduce you to all of these products. So if you would like, feel free to come and sit down, take your, put your feet up, because it's been a long 3 days on the fair. And I'd love to share some of this information with you. So let's start off with who is SOLARWATT? What's the company standing behind all this orange? SOLARWATT was founded 25 years ago in Dresden, Germany. And what we started with was producing glass panels made in Germany. And these are particularly special because they're made with 2 panes of glass. So rather than many of our competitors, which sell foil panels with glass on the front and foil on the back, our panels are actually made with 2 panes of thermally hardened glass. This makes them exceptionally robust and long-lasting, which is why we can guarantee not just the product, but the performance of the product for 30 years. We guarantee that these panels, after 30 years, will still be producing 87% of their rated output from when they were initially purchased. Now, panels weren't quite enough. Our customers were also looking for transparency. They knew that the panels were on their roof and they must be producing something. But what they didn't have was any kind of transparency into what was happening within their home. How much power were the panels producing? How much of that energy was being used within their own homes, and how much was being fed back into the grid? Then we moved on to our energy manager. And so this brings us to the second core competency of what SOLARWATT provides. The energy manager provides, with both hardware and software coupled, 100% transparency and visualization of the energy flows within our customers' homes. But what it also allows is for optimization and hands-on management of these devices. Many household devices can actually be run within the hours of sunshine. And this makes it so that you can power those devices with completely free energy. Without an intelligent manager helping you out with that, these devices would just run whenever. But of course, this is all still contingent on the hours of sunshine available. So, batteries came into the fray. We went to some of the fastest battery producers in the world. We went to a Formula 1 racing team and we said, you're making some of the fastest responding batteries in the world for race cars. And we want you to come and make those for us for stationary installations. And you may be asking yourself, what does it matter how fast a battery can respond when it's in my home? And I'm going to get to that later. So let's get a little deeper into this. You can see this house on one of the first walls when you come in. This is our complete system. We sell the entire package. We don't want our customers, especially our installers, to have to shop around. They can get it all straight from us. We take 100% ownership of the quality of these systems in our hands. How do these products all work together? Well, of course, you start on the rooftop. And this year, we're also excited to be able to offer our smart modules. Now, what does that mean? These are our normal solar panels, incredibly high quality, but now with a pre-installed Solar Edge power optimizer. Now, modules in a string, and a string is just several installed next to each other, operate much like a chain. The weakest link is the determiner of how strong the entire string is able to perform. What might cause a string to underperform? Well, that could be partial shading, whether it's from a tree or from cloud cover. And what these optimizers do is allow each of those individual panels to be operating at their absolute maximum, thereby increasing the overall efficiency of your entire roof, even though there could still be a bit of partial occlusion of the sunshine. So these smart modules are able to communicate through the inverter with the energy manager. As I mentioned, that's this home intelligence unit, and that's controlling all of the devices within the home, not just those related to your PV system, but all of those devices. So the energy manager is also able to control and optimize power consumption for, say, an electric mobility charging station, perhaps a hot water pump or a pool pump. It's also communicating with our battery. All of these products are working together and can communicate now, as of this year, wirelessly over power line, which is a low-frequency wireless connection that saves our installers and our end customers the time necessary to add new cabling into their homes. Let's go a little bit deeper into the first product category, our extremely robust panels. Now let me go a little bit deeper into what sets a glass panel apart from a glass foil panel. Now I don't have the diagram here, but what you can imagine is the construction of a glass foil panel. You have right in the center these incredibly valuable solar cells. And although these cells are very powerful, they're also quite sensitive. These can be destroyed by just about anything touching them. Pressure to them, moisture, oxygen, all of these cause those cells to underperform and to degrade over time. Now in a normal glass foil panel, you have a glass sheet on the front and then a plastic foil sheet on the back. What happens when you get some sort of outside influence onto the roof? Let's imagine snow load or wind, perhaps dramatic temperature changes causing the materials to expand and contract. Well, when you have a cell that's split right in the middle of two different materials, those materials are responding differently to that pressure, and you find the cell can actually be, because the foil will stretch more underneath. The glass won't as much, but the foil stretches right out, and that causes micro cracks within the cells. And what happens with micro cracks is those become dead cell areas that are no longer producing electricity, thereby making the panel essentially useless after just a few years. With our glass panels, on the other hand, we have two sheets of 2 millimeter thick thermally hardened glass, and then the cells are embedded in the completely neutral axes between those glass panes, perfectly protecting them because both glass panes are responding equally to any pressure from any side. We also have to test our panels against things like hail. Now the IEC standards require that we test for 25 millimeter thick hailstones, but we decided to go for a 45 millimeter hailstone. And you can actually see we have a panel installed further in on our stand, and it's on the wall, and there's a stainless steel washer hanging from it and a lighter. So you guys can feel free to try and inflict some damage and abuse on our panels, because they can take it. I see you're heading over there right now. You can come back and report, tell us what you find. We are so convinced of the quality of our panels that we offer a 30-year guarantee. Now, when a company offers a guarantee of a specific amount of time, you know they're fairly certain the products will meet that guarantee, because if not, they're the ones who have to pay for it. So you know, if 30 years is the guarantee period, you actually have several years, possibly even decades beyond that, where you're still getting lots of value out of those panels. Now, most glass foil manufacturers are only able to offer 25-year guarantee. And then in that case, it's also doubtful how many of them are making it to that. But when they're overseas manufacturers, sometimes that guarantee period doesn't mean very much at all. What happens just in those 5 years guarantee period? Well, we measured with a 10 kilowatt peak system, and we measured between those 25 and 30 years, how much more output is guaranteed. Because like I said, it's not just the product itself that's guaranteed for 30 years, it's also the performance. Minimum 87% of the rated output is still available after 30 years. So what does that mean just in those 5 years? 50,000 more kilowatt hours of output coming out, completely free green power available to our customers. Now yes, this quality does cost a bit more than some of the very low cost manufacturers, but you can see you're getting a tremendous amount of value out of that. Many installers and end customers, when discussing the price of these systems, will speak about the number of cents per watt peak, which is useful to tell you what you're putting on your roof today. What it doesn't give you is any kind of sense of how much you're spending over the entire lifetime of the panel. So a more useful measure is actually cents per kilowatt hour over the entire lifetime. And when you do that calculation and compare the price of our panels with that of the competition, we come in way under. What other sort of crazy things do we inflict on our panels? So So in some areas, there's a dramatic changing in weather conditions. So you can go from very cold, dry conditions to very hot, humid conditions. And we can simulate those in a damp heat testing chamber. And we did. Now, when you fire a little bit of electricity into a module and you point an infrared camera at it, the cells actually glow. And you can see when the cells are glowing, that means that they're functional and able to produce electricity when the sun is shining on them. So we took a picture of a glass foil module and a glass module at the beginning of the test, and they both look pretty bright. But after 3,000 hours, you're starting to see some dark areas on that glass foil module. And those dark areas mean that those areas are no longer producing any electricity. But our glass module still looks pristine. What about 4,000 hours? Now remember, this is a damp heat testing chamber that for 4,000 hours has been simulating every few minutes a dramatic change from -degrees and very dry temperatures all the way up to 85 degrees Celsius and 85% humidity. And even after 4,000 hours, our glass module still looks pristine. You can bet that these panels are going to stand up to whatever you throw at them. Let's take a very quick look at the lineup. These are all available on our stand here to take a closer look at. The blue-colored modules are made with polycrystalline cells because it's a bit more mixed of what the cell structure is. The monocrystalline cells have a very nice black appearance. Our style panels, and that's one here actually, come with purely black cells, a black aluminum frame, and a transparent back sheet, because customers who have a gorgeous home with a dark roof do so want to do something for the environment and also something for themselves, but they don't want it to make their house look ugly. So you can lay this transparent back sheet over a dark roof, and the appearance is quite eye-catching. A high-power panel, which you can also see on the stand, the difference here is that back sheet, which is white, and this allows the cells to have reflected onto them just a little bit more sunshine, and that just allows you to eke out the maximum power you can get out of each module. And here, the one with the thicker frame is our easy in panel, and on the stand you can see the slanted roof, and you can see the panel installed right next to the roofing tiles. Now, I've already convinced you on just how incredibly strong our panels are. So strong, in fact, that they don't even have to be laid over your roofing tiles. They can replace them. That's right, you can lay them over top of the roofing structure, right next to your roofing tiles, or replacing your roofing tiles, especially for those of you in the position of building a new home, or perhaps just replacing your roof. We guarantee that our panels will outlast your roof. They're incredibly strong. And here, this smaller panel is also a bit thicker, and you can see that installed on our stand up on the balcony in that carport. Now, they're thicker because they're rated for overhead use, so you can also walk underneath them. And they're really great for things like carports or covered verandas or balconies. And those are really nice because they have a 20% translucency that still lets a little bit of pleasant light through, but you're still getting an incredible amount of yield out of those panels. So enough about those. Let's move on to the Energy Manager so you know what's happening in your home. This is a look at our software dashboard, and this is where you can see everything at a glance. You can see how much power is being produced on your roof at any given time. You can see how much of that is then being used within your home. You can see how much is at overflow is being sent back into the grid. And it's really nice when that's low, because as we're seeing all over the world, feed-in tariffs are going down quickly. It's no longer lucrative to send that entire overflow of PV power back into the grid because you're not getting anything for it. It's much better when you can get and use as much of it in your own home. You can also see how much power you're having to buy from the grid. And again, this is nice when it's as low as possible. Here you can see, if you have a battery at home, what its charging status is at. You can see how much power is going to be available for you when you get home at the end of the day. You can see here a breakdown of what's your degree of independence, how much of your energy needs are actually being met within your own home. You can also see a detailed analysis of your consumption, not just now, but over the last several weeks, months, or even years. You can analyze your own consumption patterns. You can check on how your devices are faring. Perhaps it's time to move to a more energy efficient large device like a refrigerator. You can analyze what an impact that could have on your energy consumption. All of these things come together into one easy to use portal that gives you an overview of everything, and not just of our devices. You can also see the status of other devices that you have connected with the Energy Manager. And those devices could include things like an air conditioning unit or a hot water pump. It could include your wireless sockets. We have some on our panel, on our stand here, of wireless MyStrom sockets, and those are produced in Switzerland, and they'll allow you to wirelessly switch on and off devices that are plugged into the socket. Can also be connected to a car charging station. So as you see here, all of these lines, the blue lines are measuring, keeping an eye on what's happening. The orange lines are ones where you can control, switch it on and off, optimize that consumption to the best possible time where you get the most out of every spray of sunshine that hits your roof. And the last is the green, and that allows you to visualize, not just for our end customers in the Energy Manager portal, but also for our customers, our direct customers, the installers who installed the system. They can also have an overview of each of their installations, and they can see through a traffic light system which installations are totally fine and which ones could maybe still use optimizing. Now, we've all had the experience where an expert has to come to our home, and we have to be home for a 6-hour window in order for them to come to our house. And what this allows here is maybe it's something as simple as needing to switch a device off and back on again. Well, that can be taken care of with a quick phone call to the customer, and it's through the installer center that the installer has that insight into what's necessary. And our last point, our battery, the MyReserve battery. We decided to move to a completely modular system because our feedback from both installers and our end customers was that what was available on the market is incredibly unwieldy and difficult to install, and in most cases over-dimensioned for the average customer's needs. So what we did is a building block system. Just 2 blocks can be scaled up infinitely. This first block is the MyReserve Command. This is the intelligence unit with the battery management system inside, and it also has all of the plugs. So the PV system plugs in here, and the inverter goes out. Up above and layered on top, which you guys can actually see installed on this wall. I'll turn this sideways so you can see. Those can be scaled up at will, and the gray boxes are the battery packs. That's where the cells are. And this can be scaled anywhere from a teeny tiny 2.4 kilowatt battery all the way up to a, quite frankly, industrial installation of 60 kilowatt hours. The fact that this can be dimensioned perfectly is really wonderful. Most families don't actually need a massive 13 kilowatt hour battery. The most common battery size we sell is a 7.2 kilowatt hour system, and this is because we can dimension it perfectly to each customer's individual needs. But there's no worry in case those needs change over the years. It can also be retrofitted at will, so you can still install yet another mounting bracket above your existing packs and just connect a few more on. We have videos on YouTube where you see an installer mounting this to a wall and cabling it up, and it really is simple and done in a matter of minutes. There's no need for several installers to be maneuvering an unwieldy refrigerator-sized battery into somebody's basement or garage. This can be done as a one-man installation. We don't have any packs free-floating on the stand for you to pick up, but our battery packs, which is the heaviest part, weigh 25 kilograms, which is more than doable for a single person. So what else, aside from its incredible dimensionability, makes our battery special? Its efficiency. Now, we've made our battery to be installed on the DC side, and most of our competitors build AC side batteries. They're quite a lot easier to manufacture. However, their rate of efficiency is substantially lower, and you can see these 2 numbers here. So what does this mean? When our battery is installed between the panels and the inverter, that means that the power needs to be converted from direct current to alternating current, which is used within the household, just once. Now, of course, you're never going to avoid 100%. You're never going to avoid some energy energy loss with a conversion. That's not possible. But you can reduce the number of conversions that your energy has to go through. So when our customers buy a MyReserve battery, they're getting 90% of the usable energy from their rooftop that was generated. And with a competitor's battery, well, now it's starting to make sense why the competitors' batteries are so wildly over-dimensioned. It's because you're only getting 75% of the power that was generated on the roof. Well, now that makes sense. So we focused very intentionally on giving our customers as much of that completely free, clean power from their rooftop as possible. I'm going to show you, I spoke a little bit at the beginning about how incredibly fast our battery is. Now, why does that matter? I'm about to show you an animation that explains why. And what you'll see is on the left, a blue power curve. And this is a device being switched on for several seconds, pulling power at a steady rate, and then switching off. And you'll see an orange curve matching that power demand. And on this side, you're going to see a competitor's battery attempting to match that curve. Now, I won't name the competitor, but they're just a few stands away. Let's look at what's happening. The power demand goes up as a blue line, and the MyReserve follows it fairly quickly afterwards. Then the competitor follows, and then the power is no longer necessary, so it switches off, and the battery goes down again. And then the competitors goes down again. So let's break down what's actually happened here. On this side, a power demand has been registered. Now, our battery could respond even faster, but we recognized during testing that that put unnecessary stress on the inverter and accelerated the aging of the inverter. And because we sell you an entire system, it's important to us that the entire system works as long as possible. So we made a calculated trade-off here. There is still a little bit, a second and a half of delay before the power is met, and then it's met extremely accurately. And then as the power demand goes away, there's no more need for the battery to discharge that valuable power, so it stops. This has met, the MyReserve has met 85% of that power demand. And what happens on this side? Well, over the several seconds of time between when power demand was registered and the time it took our competitor's battery to respond, all this power had to be purchased from the grid in the meantime, including this power up here, because though it did register the demand, the battery management system didn't actually register quite accurately how much of power was demanded. It just wasn't able to judge that intelligently. So this power also had to be purchased additionally. Now, when the power demand goes away, the battery is still incredibly slow. So what happens to all this power being discharged from the battery? It has to go somewhere. So it gets sent back into the grid. That incredibly valuable solar power that has been generated all day from your rooftop, saved in your battery for when you get home in the evening and want to use it, it's just been sent back into the grid. In many countries, for free, or for such a low price of that feed-in tariff that it wasn't even worth it in the first place. This competitor's battery met approximately 32% of the power demand, and our battery met 85%. Again, this is another reason you don't need an extremely large battery when your battery is intelligent enough to meet almost all of the power demands that you have. I hope I've convinced you of how much we value our products, how much we stand behind them. As I mentioned, they are 100% designed and made in Germany, and we offer a 30-year guarantee on all of our glass panels that you see here, both on the product itself, but also on its performance. We offer a 10-year guarantee on our battery, and we guarantee that after 10 years, your battery will still have 80% of the rated capacity of when you initially purchased it. We also, in addition to that, offer full coverage insurance, and this is a completely free for our customers 5-year insurance on the entire installation. Panels, inverter, battery, energy management, all of that together is covered with our full coverage insurance, and this is not just for the products themselves. It's also in case they're damaged through theft, vandalism, fire, some sort of extreme weather disaster. We also cover the yield loss during the time when the products were possibly not working entirely. So we cover and reimburse our customers for that downtime. We also cover the replacement of the products and also the installer's time, who has to come out to the customer's home, replace the products, and then send them back to SOLARWATT. We cover all of this with our full coverage insurance. I'm incredibly proud to be able to stand in front of you today and being able to explain our products to you. They are all still made 100% in Germany. Our glass panels are produced at our headquarters where I work in Dresden. And we have a fully automatic manufacturing facility with giant, what other color, orange robot arms producing our panels. Our Energy Manager hardware is assembled in Germany, and the software is also programmed right in Dresden. And the battery, surprisingly enough, even in 2018, is still being made in Germany. The command unit here is assembled in Dresden, and the battery packs are assembled near Cologne by our subsidiary SOLARWATT Innovation, and that's those Formula One experts that I mentioned before. All of these products come together and make us the only true European systems provider. Any one of my colleagues on the stand would be delighted to speak with you guys and answer any questions you may have. I myself would also be delighted. I have a few more presentations left today. I'm speaking in English every hour on the half hour. And I really appreciate your time and attention. I wish you all a wonderful last day on the Intersolar, and thank you.